being fearful is
Mhm.
mentioned in the Bible. So to me, that's every day, that's every single day.
Yep.
And if we don't work through that, it can be very, very permanent.
People may be able to say like, oh yeah, I know you're going to get to this level, but they may not see it in the perspective that you see it in. So once it's yours, all you have to do is go out and win it.
That's when you know it's the right thing to do. Because when it just comes, and you can't block out the noise, the Holy Spirit is just pouring into you.
A lot of people want to be saved, but they don't want to do the work that'll help them get saved. It's like faith without works is dead.
Goals without a plan, it's just a hallucination. If you're not, what are you doing? Oh, I plan.
That is the most comfortable moment of your life, that you're at your highest peak. You're really not. You're really at that midline where you can really jump a whole nother foot.
Person who says, well, I don't have faith. Yeah, you have it. It's in there. You may even be calling it a different name. So
They're
taking
calling
them,
luck.
yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Trail of Truth podcast. Today I have a special guest. She's an author, she's a mother, she's a wife. And without further more introduction, I'm gonna go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Well, hello, Trey. My name is Teresa Davis Lewis. And as he stated, I am a mom. I am a wife. I am a school counselor by profession, and I am a creator by passion. And that kind of encompasses various things.
Okay. So a question that I always ask my guests right off bat is just, how are you doing mentally?
I would say mentally, I'm in a good place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm in a good place right now.
Okay. When you say you're in a good place, does that instill just all aspects of life, or is it just you're at peace? By
I'm at
that.
I'm at peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning to be at peace. I'm learning to not let things bother me, situations and circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the age that I am now, life has taught me to worry less,
Mm-hmm.
stress less.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them on my job, I'm on the downward slope. I'm over the hill now.
Mm-hmm.
And life will teach you some things. And so life allows you to see that some of those things that used to bother you,
Mm-hmm.
at certain ages, they don't bother you anymore.
Okay.
So, yeah, when I find myself not at peace, I've got some techniques and things that can kind of quickly pull me back.
So what does peace look like for you? Because I feel like a lot of people have different definitions for it. So like for instance, for me, I consider peace as just a quiet environment or a quiet state of mind to where you can naturally be yourself. So what would you define peace as?
I would define peace as, for me,
Mm-hmm.
I can become very anxious, to the point of where I can feel it,
Mm-hmm.
physically. So I would define peace as, even like you're saying, even in a state of chaos where I can be grounded,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, and not be anxious, not have those chest palpitations,
Mm-hmm.
not sweating,
Mm-hmm.
even like today, I think I told you earlier that I was nervous,
Mm-hmm.
but I can start to feel myself be more at peace, with the situation. So I think that's what it looks like for me.
Of course, of course. That's good. So I kind of want to, before we get started into the conversation, I
Mhm.
just kind of want to, give you that space to allow the people that are watching to learn a little bit more about yourself. So if you could just, give a little background, like where are you from? I know you have 3 kids, right?
Mhm. 3 adult
Yeah,
children.
three adults.
3 adults.
3 adults. And then, like you mentioned before, you're also a counselor. So just a little description about your journey so that people know who you are.
Okay, I am, born and raised in the same town that I grew up in.
Mhm.
So I'm from Polk County.
Mhm.
If you're from Polk County, you say Polk County, but if you're from somewhere else, you say Polk County. From Polk County, and, I was an only child for 13 years, and I think that that really shaped my life in a lot of different ways. But I was an only child of my mom, in my immediate household for 13 years. I'm the oldest of my siblings.
Mhm.
And I married my high school sweetheart. We dated in high school,
Okay.
and then we went on to marry. We have 3 adult children now.
Mhm.
2 are at home. One is now married. My son is now married. He moved off, doesn't live at home anymore. I'm a school counselor by profession,
Mhm.
and I've been doing that for over 20 years now. Started out in my early career, started out in insurance, working for State Farm. I was a
Mhm.
claims adjuster. And, that was very interesting. That was very interesting. But I've been a school counselor now for 23 years
Mhm.
and, kinda live a simple life. Um, for the early parts of my life, I did a lot of things that involved my children.
Mhm.
So I often say that for years, I was either somebody's mom or somebody's wife, you
Mhm.
know? And so, I found myself in a place where I had to reinvent my own self,
Exactly.
recreate my own self because, here comes, Jasmine's mom, or here comes Devin's mom, or Kayla's mom, or here
Mhm.
comes Greg's wife. But I started selling jewelry for this company some years back. And I kind of found myself at a place where I redefined who I was.
Mhm.
It really helped me. The jewelry company helped me to establish, some reinventing for myself.
Mhm.
Yep, yep. So, long story short, I've been back in the school system now for 3 years around COVID. I took some time off for
Mhm.
some kind of personal family reasons.
Mhm.
Um, but now I'm back and I've written a book, which
Mhm.
I'm really excited about, and that's how we met.
Exactly.
Wrote a book, and I'm really excited about that. So,
We're
yeah,
definitely we're
yeah, my
definitely gonna
journey's
dive into
different
that.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you said something that was very, very interesting to me, and
Mhm,
only because I relate. So you said you were a single child. You were the only child for the 13 years,
mhm,
correct?
mhm,
That's the same for me.
mhm.
So I know you.
Of my
Yeah.
mom's
Mhm.
in my household,
Yeah, same
yes.
same for me as well.
Mhm,
So, you said that came with a lot of things. What do you mean by that? Because I can relate to that because I feel like, at that point in my life when I was at the age of 13 and I found that my mom was expecting another child, that kinda hit a turning point for me.
mhm,
It was in a sense for me, it was unfamiliar and it was uncomfortable.
mhm.
Not because I was mad that somebody else was being in the picture, but it's only
Mhm.
been me
Mhm,
for those 13 years, so I didn't know what to expect next, and I feel like from that point on, a lot of things happened in my life that kinda stirred me to, I wanna say in a sense, grow up faster,
mhm,
but also, experience emotions that I shouldn't have early on.
mhm.
So, how was that for you? Because I feel like we may relate there.
Um, for me, I was mad. I was very upset, like, to the point of, like, "What in the how is this happening in my life?"
Mhm.
And it's a brother, so I have a brother, and then I'm the oldest of, 4 children from my dad, but like I said, in my household, it was he and I was upset with her for having
Mhm.
this baby. I'm almost in high school now,
Mhm.
but, I think the shaping and the difference came because I was spoiled. I was a child that was spoiled.
Mhm.
And so but when he did come, I wasn't mad long. Like, I
Yeah.
ended up, giving him his name,
Mhm.
And so I was, you mentioned kinda having to maybe grow up, differently. Times are different now. I think that during my time, you just kinda accepted what your role or your responsibility was as being
Mhm.
the older sibling.
Mhm.
He was definitely my tag along. So, in school, everybody knew him, my classmates knew him,
Mhm.
but I didn't have a problem with it,
Mhm.
or it didn't seem to be a problem for me at that time. He
Mhm.
just ended up being my little brother and my little shadow.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit, about your profession because I know before we mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
that I had also a counselor that impacted me in such a special way. How would you say your job or your career has impacted not only you but impacted the people that's surrounding you? So in a sense, how does it pour into others? because a lot of people hear counselor and they're like, oh, that's the person that tells me, I got to be on top of this. But how I see it versus others is this is literally your guardian angel in
Mhm.
a sense. This is the person that's doesn't have to look over you, but they're doing it because of the greater good. This is something that is going to impact you years down the road. So
Right, right.
how do you feel that impacted not only you as an individual, but everyone else that's surrounding you?
When I started out, in the education system, I would say possibly that I was started out a little bit later. Some of the
Mhm.
people that are like my same age, they've actually been in it for quite some time. And when I started out, I started subbing first, and I started subbing to be more available to my
Mhm.
own children at home.
Mhm.
And so I didn't start out thinking that, I didn't start out going to school saying I wanted to go to school to be a counselor. I ended up working with a young lady, and I was so influenced by how she worked with students.
Mhm.
Um, and she kinda took me under her wing even though we're close in age. I actually may be a year or 2 older than her, but I was just so inspired by the type of person that she was and how she was working with students.
Mhm.
I was still subbing, and she kinda saw something in me and said, "Have you ever thought about going back to school, to get your master's degree and start doing counseling?" So when I started out, counseling, I never worked elementary school. By that
Mhm.
time, my oldest child, I think, was in middle school. And so I always seemed to work and be able to better relate to students during the same time of the ages of my children.
Mhm.
So I've always been kind of between middle school and high school. It's funny that you mentioned that you're still in contact with your counselor, because if I can be honest with you, there were times in the career where I
Mhm.
questioned, am I, having any type of, positive effect on students?
Mhm.
Because sometimes you just don't hear that, thank you. Not that you're necessarily looking for it, but, it's kind of like the story in the Bible where if no one comes back to thank you, you know, you don't know, what's going on and, whether or not you really are affecting children like that.
Mhm.
But now that my career has spanned, I'm able to see children, that are adults now.
Mhm.
I can hear that from them. I can, see the impact that
Exactly.
I'm having. But it took a while to get to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, I think it's good that people kind of reach back out to you and give you your flowers because I feel like I mentioned before, like
Hmm.
that position alone has changed my life in ways that I can sit here and describe all day.
It's
It
good to
it
hear, Trey. That's
Mhm.
really good to hear.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
shout out to Miss Mobley. She's probably gonna see this, but shout out to Miss Mobley. I'm very, very thankful for you. I'm very, very thankful for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I wanna kinda get into the book. I wanna talk about your book
Okay.
and kinda what led you into writing? Because I heard, if you guys are not aware, I went to a speaking event
Hmm.
a few weeks ago. I was on the panelist, and Miss Lewis, she came up and, presented her book, which I believe is gonna be a great book. I'm gonna read it, and once I'm done reading, I will definitely get on here and let you guys know my review. But just
Thank you.
from the the parts that I've looked up and the parts that I researched, it's literally the things that I dive into day to day on this podcast. It's literally the main subject from what I understand is about fear.
Hmm.
And I dive into fear so much just on this platform because I feel like we never get to that next level if we have that mindset of fear, that mindset
Right.
that we can't
Right.
get past what we're scared of.
Right.
So I kind of want to talk about the process of that before we jump into it. So what kind of inspired you or what kind of led you to, just making that first decision?
Um, that decision was hard. Let me
Mhm.
just be honest, because God gave me a book probably 20 years ago, and I think I mentioned that. And
Mhm.
there's actually four book titles or four books that should have come. Three books actually that should have come before this book. This book
Mhm.
would have been the fourth book,
Mhm.
and it was as if just a loud rushing, when he gave me the topic of when fear grips, to the point where I couldn't concentrate on other things.
Mhm.
The only thing I could think about was the book. I tried to put it off, writing the
Mhm.
book. And, I look back now and I say, I'm not really sure why. Fear,
Mhm.
just doing something new. But I was like, okay, God, let me get some paper, get a pencil. I'm old fashioned, paper and
Mhm.
pencil. Let me start writing things down. And that's when you know it's the right thing to do. Because when it just comes, and you can't block out the noise, the
Mhm.
Holy Spirit is just pouring into you. I knew it was the right thing. He gave me the topic. Um, I knew it would be 7 chapters. I kinda deal with numbers spiritually.
Mhm.
I was able to relate the stories to numbers. And when I started writing it, I got about 2 it's 7 chapters. So about 2 chapters were remaining to write, and that's when fear hit me. I started thinking about, um, who will read this book, you
Mhm.
know, who will accept what I'm saying, just all of those things started rushing in. And
Mhm.
so I would say I started writing the book not last year, but 2020, 2024
Mhm.
during the summer. And my goal was to have it finished in December. I said, well, with the break, I'll be off for during the summer, then Thanksgiving break, then Christmas break. So this will be perfect. I'll be
Mhm.
finished with it by then. That didn't happen. So I slipped on into 2025,
Mhm.
and one of my good girlfriends, she was holding me accountable. My family was holding me accountable. Like, Mom, you're supposed to be finished with this book
Mhm.
by now. What is going on? But that's that fear that, I talk about in the book. It's that silent fear. That's what I was talking about that Saturday when I was
Mhm.
up there, that we don't think about. Sometimes fear is very silent. It's not
Mhm.
big, it's not loud, it's not shouting.
Mhm.
It's that doubt, that creeps in, that
Mhm.
procrastination. And so, needless to say, it did take me over a year to write the book, where it should have only taken me a couple of months because I
Mhm.
had all of the information that I needed to write the book. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I want to, just comment on something. So similar to what you've been through, the same thing with me with podcasting. I should have
Mhm,
had a podcast in 2023 when I first thought
mhm,
about it. I still have the list from 2020, no, actually 3 years. So
mhm,
I still have the list from 2023 with all 10 names that I want to name my
mhm,
platform. The
mhm.
reason I didn't do it is similar to yours. I didn't know who would want to watch it. I didn't know who would listen. I didn't know who would share. I didn't know who would support. I didn't think people would be like, "Oh, this guy, he went to school for this, or he never was this
Right,
type of person. Why he want to do it now?" But
right,
what I'm learning throughout my time, just in being someone that gets up here and speak positivity, I learned it's not about the other people that will accept it. It's about the one person that will take the time to listen out to it.
right.
Because what I'm learning now is that all it takes is one person to build a village.
Yep.
That one person can listen to it, they can love it, they can cherish it, and they would then continue to spread it on.
Mhm.
It's like gospel. As soon as one person enters, everybody wants to hear it because it's like, oh my God, this was this for you.
Right,
I want
right.
this to be this for me too. So I'm learning each and every day, and I'm a numbers person, so I always look at the analytical approach, and I had to stop doing that because, you know, if it's meant for people to understand and meant for people to hear, they
Mhm.
will hear it at their own time. Same way that it took us a minute to
Right.
publish what we have,
Mhm.
sometimes it takes that long for people to actually gravitate towards it. So I want to give you your flowers for even,
Well, thank
taking
you.
that step forward because I always tell people as long as you're taking one step, that's progress.
Right,
The
right.
moment it doesn't become progress is when you take 10 steps back to actually look at the bigger picture.
Mhm.
Because now you're getting scared and now you feel like, okay, I have to reevaluate this whole thing instead of just going ahead and taking that step and seeing what it actually is.
Right,
So
right.
I definitely want to give you your flowers. I'm thankful that you actually did publish a book. I know it's going to be a good read for me because it's something that I experienced,
Mhm.
even as an adult now. I'm still a young adult. I experience it now even as
Oh,
an
yeah,
adult. It's not
yeah.
something that's, temporary.
Mm-mm.
It's something that's permanent. It's gonna happen throughout the course of your life.
Right, right.
Um
And that's kind of the difference between, So I would also say, Trey, that I'm scary. My grandmother was scary. I think she passed some of that on.
Mhm,
But when you talk about the differences between being scared versus fear,
mhm.
being scared is temporary. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm scared of the dark, or I'm scared
Mhm,
of a spiders, or
mhm,
whatever it is. But fear is not. Fear is very permanent, or can be very
mhm,
permanent. I did a little research, and I wanted to know, like, how many times was fear mentioned in the Bible. um and it came very close to 365 times that it's recorded
mhm,
that fear and or being fearful is
mhm.
mentioned in the Bible. So to me, that's every day. That's every single day.
Yep.
And if we don't work through that, it can be very, very permanent.
Mhm,
um, One of the things that I thought about in relation to, who would read the book, when you said with the podcast for yourself, like who's going to listen to me? And,
mhm,
a lot of times people say, well, I'm not going to do something because so many other people have come before me
mhm,
and, are doing a podcast or writing books or, self-help books or books on faith.
mhm.
But my girlfriend and I, we always think about, the bread aisle. When you go down the bread aisle, how many
Varieties.
different,
Mhm,
one particular bread company can't service everybody.
mhm,
So one particular part, everybody's not going to connect and listen to one particular person,
mhm,
that's doing a podcast. So you're right. There is like so many people out there
mhm,
that will tune in to what you have to say and that will connect to you, and click with you. So yeah, yeah, we just have to kind of move past those fearful thoughts that,
mhm,
come in our minds to stop us from doing
mhm. So
doing
also
that.
also while I was just researching and just learning more about the book, I can kind of tell just based off of, like I said, what I've read and what I've seen is faith driven.
Mhm.
So how would you say your faith has um the word I want to use is how would you say your faith has assisted your control over fear? So, of course it can be biblical, it can be, just internal. How would you say your faith has helped you
Mhm.
get over your fear?
That's all I know, Trey. That's all I know. That's the way I was raised.
Mhm.
A God fearing, woman,
Mhm.
grandparents, um, parents. Um, Faith is all I know. So I've had it from such a early age and an
Mhm.
early foundation.
Mhm.
And so of course that ends up shaping, who you are as you age and you learn what faith is,
Mhm.
and how it operates. Then you're able to use it, in your daily life. It's not what we can see. I can't see it,
Mhm.
but I know it,
Mhm.
you know? That's just the best way that I can explain it, when it's who you are as a person.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of one of the best things that you can have because it gives you so much hope,
Mhm.
so much confidence,
Mhm.
so much assurance, so much joy, so much peace.
Mhm.
When those things are just down in you,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily know where they come from other than the foundation that you have. And
Mhm.
so it's definitely shaped who I am. Yeah,
Mhm. That's good. So
definitely shaped who I am.
that's good. So I always tell people like I think throughout my life, and I think I said a little bit when I was speaking, is just I talked about just knowing, your endpoint. Basically it was just
Mhm,
embracing your identity and embracing everything that's going on in your life. Well, everything like I mentioned when I was speaking is about knowing that no matter the hurdles and no matter the stoppage that's going on in your life, you know that it's something next. And
mhm,
it's totally faith. And that's something that I battled with a lot when I was growing up. Like I said, I had to grow up a little bit faster than most people, but just I didn't see my vision for what it was back
mhm,
then.
mhm.
Especially going through college, it was a lot of things that I was just like, oh man, it's just no way is this really gonna be it? But I had to understand that, and I tell this is my favorite saying, nobody's coming to save you. And I
Right.
stand by that because a lot of people don't understand that, a lot of people, I'm gonna say this, a lot of people have faith that somebody else would do it for them, not
Mm-mm.
only that they would do it for themselves. And that's where a lot of people mess up at. That's what I say, a lot of people want to be saved,
Mhm.
but they don't want to do the work that'll help them get saved.
Mhm.
It's like faith without works is dead.
It's dead. Mhm.
So my question to you is, if there's 100 people out in the world that don't have faith, how would you advise them on ways to actually obtain it and
Mhm.
keep control of it?
Mhm. Mm. 100 people who don't have faith.
Mhm,
How would I advise them on that? I would start with if you were dealing with one particular individual,
mhm,
okay, and I would probably take them back to a time and or a moment that was difficult for them.
mhm,
Mhm. And then have them walk through what helped them to get over that particular situation
mhm,
or that obstacle. Sometimes faith, we don't identify it as being faith. But
mhm,
like I said, it's I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain when it's so much of who you are. Um, but it comes from somewhere,
mhm,
it's in you, and you just have to activate your faith,
mhm,
So that's where I would start with a person who says, "Well, I don't have faith." Yeah, you have it. It's in there.
mhm.
You may even be calling it a different name. So
They call
taking
it
them,
luck.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
No, ain't no luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no luck when you
Whoa, whoa. I know you're too busy watching the episode, but just take a moment and look at the link down below. Make sure you subscribe to the Truth Lounge. Make sure you join the Truth family. Live in your truth. This is the perfect place to be, and I appreciate you for tuning in and watching the episode. However, make sure you click that link below. Get early access to merch, get early access to all episodes, and of course, get the behind the scenes of everything that everybody want to see. Go.
know that this accident should have taken you away from here,
Mhm.
or that this situation you should have lost your mind.
Mhm.
That's not luck.
Mhm.
So taking having people to take a step back to really look at, what was it that I could just pull from that really, brought me out of this situation.
Mhm.
So to get them to see that, now faith, it's the substance of things hoped for, the
Mhm.
evidence, what just happened in my life that I was able to push through and move forward.
Mhm.
I think that's where I would start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what because I haven't gone into the chapters, so I know you said the chapters all have their own significant meaning.
Mhm,
What are the 7 chapters that are in the book? And
mhm.
if you could, I want to say, give it one word that all the chapters surround, if you can. I'm not sure if it's possible because I know they all have their own significant meaning. But
One word for all the
Mhm.
chapters, or a word for each individual
Or you can do
chapter?
that as well too.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. Can I kinda tell you how the chapters are
Yeah, for
designed?
sure.
So, the chapters are designed that they give you a quick story at the beginning of the chapter
Mhm.
about a particular person, and so the after that, then the next part of it is one word that relates to not only that chapter, but that number. Remember I told you I'm a firm
Mhm.
believer in spiritual numbers,
Mhm.
and so, even then after that, I give you what I consider to be like a real truth about it. So, if I can use for an example, I think I talked about trash in and trash out.
Mhm.
That's my youngest daughter's chapter where she talked about, me trying to throw garbage into empty bin that was in her bedroom.
Mhm.
And the aha moment for me was that, she said, don't put that into this trash can, this plastic bin. And I said, well, it's a trash can. Why can't I throw this piece of paper in there?
Mhm.
And she said, well, it's only a trash can if you put trash in it. So the name of that chapter is Trash In and Trash Out.
Mhm.
Um, and so I start to talk about, just our mindsets and how we hold on to things by, becoming a garbage bin, for different things in our lives.
Mhm.
It's only a garbage can if you put trash in it. So I have another chapter in the book. My first chapter is about one of my best friends um, uh, who started her career over after almost being killed by an inmate. And she talks about this in a book that she has.
Mhm.
I have a chapter about students. That's chapter 2. You are not alone. So just allowing us to work through that fear, knowing that we're not alone in this world or on
Mhm.
this journey. Um, of course, chapter 7 is I Know.
Mhm.
And that is the chapter where I talk about creating this T-shirt and giving it to, because I don't know if I'm allowed to say,
Yeah, that's
the
fine. Yep.
person's name, but I ended up giving it to Tabitha Brown when I went
Mhm.
to her concert, her book launch,
Mhm.
and how that changed by, being on her Instagram,
Mhm.
and that changed the trajectory of things for me. The 7 chapters are 7 quick stories that you can kind of relate to different people.
Mhm.
And then after that, I give you some biblical and some spiritual, context behind that. And then I kind of deal with reality, what this really looks like, and, affirmations to affirmations and prayer, how you can combat that particular fear.
Mhm. So what I like that I've heard is that it's basically um stories through
Mhm.
other people's experiences,
Yes.
including your own.
Yeah.
So would you say, because I'm big on this as well, would you say that perspectives play a huge role in faith? Because I feel like with me, I had to look at a lot of things from other people's perspective. My life could always be worse, right? I feel like
Mm.
everyone has that outlook of things, like, and I talked about it recently on one of my episodes, is acceptance.
Mhm,
Knowing that, okay, this was out of my control, I can't be upset about it. Knowing that, okay, I actually can do better and I need to do better, and actually knowing,
mhm,
okay, I deserve better.
mhm,
I think a lot of people try to look at the highest peak and they get so fascinated with it without knowing that they're already at the top.
mhm,
I feel like a lot of people are at a midline in their life where they judge themselves so much
mhm,
and they're hard on themselves so much without knowing what other people have going on.
mhm,
So
mhm,
my biggest thing is what I always tell people this, especially my friends. I say, I cannot be around you if you don't have an understanding of perspectives. Because
mhm.
if you only look at it through your lens, your world and my world are two different things.
Right, right.
And if it's a one-sided playing field, you won't understand what I'm feeling. You won't understand what the next person is feeling. You understand what you're feeling, and that's not fair to everybody else.
Right, right.
So, would you say that perspectives are very important in a day-to-day life?
Absolutely. And so I can honestly say that I was that friend that you're talking about.
Mhm.
Mhm. Being that child for 13 years,
Mhm.
pretty much having life one specific way. I was that person
Mhm.
who kinda, had a narrow perspective or only saw things from one particular way.
Mhm.
But, oh boy, did the school system teach me something different, and
Mhm.
I'm very appreciative, for that, because now things that I experience with other children, became teachable moments, and it allowed me to see so many different perspectives.
Mhm.
Um and my youngest daughter, she says, quite often that it could be so much worse. It could be so much worse,
Mhm.
when you think about it, and it allows you to appreciate who you are,
Mhm.
what you are, and what you have going on. You have to be able to see life from different perspectives. Like, how could you only see it from your perspective when
Mhm.
you have so much more going on, around you,
Mhm.
And I'll tell anybody, if you can't see it from someone else's perspective, then come volunteer at that school. Volunteer at the school,
Mhm.
you know. Take a trip down to the homeless shelter.
Mhm.
You know, get out and really see what's happening in the world. As a counselor, one of the things that in the particular program that I work with, I'm an IB school counselor. So for years I was a traditional counselor. But one of the things with being an IB school counselor, a part of our curriculum is having students to see things from a different perspective.
Mhm.
Teaching them that even when you are now an adult, you have to be a contributor to society.
Mhm.
What is it that you're going to be giving back? How are you going to be making this a better place for all of us?
Mhm.
So yeah, I can't imagine not being able to see it. But as I stated at one particular time,
Mhm.
I was that narrow person that only saw it one way. So
Mhm.
so I'm thankful now to
Mhm.
be able to have, a different outlook on life.
Yeah, and I think it's all a learning lesson. Like I tell people all the time, and the best scenario that I can give is when people reach out to me to be on my platform. And a
Mhm.
lot of people come to me and it's like, hey, I know I don't have the best, like the biggest following, or
Mhm.
I know I may not have something to offer, but I feel like everyone has something to offer. I feel
Mhm.
like each person that you encounter, they have their own story and their own journey
Mhm.
that's worth telling. Like
Right,
you said, you
right.
can go to a homeless shelter and you may hear their story and be like, wow, I would
Mhm.
have never known that.
Never
I
know.
feel like a lot of people prejudge and a lot of people
Mhm.
don't accept that it may be an alternative in somebody's life. They just look and be like, "Oh, I could tell what happened to them," or they look and they be like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand."
Mhm.
Like they feel like their hardship is the only hardship or is the highest hardship until they actually
Mhm.
hear people's words.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's very important. That's why I say I can't be associated with people that only see things one way because it's like
Mhm.
you won't understand nothing. You won't understand what life is teaching you because you only taking in what you know. And
Mhm.
it sounds like most of the time people don't have nothing to give back to the world. Like
Right.
I tell people, my due diligence, I feel like, and my purpose is to give back in a way that inspires people to keep going. Because when I needed that inspiration, it wasn't there. So if that was a void in my life, and I know I have the opportunity through my own experiences to pour back into people and give them that, I'll do it.
Mhm.
Like I tell people all the time, I don't get nothing from doing this. I just
Right,
make
right.
connections and it helps. It makes me feel better
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I can get up here in my lowest, I can get up here in my highest, and still be able to do something that is purposeful and still
Right.
helpful.
Right,
So
right.
my next question to you is, if you could, trying to think about how to word this, where do you or who do you think your book can be tailored to? So as far as like we know it's centered around fear.
Right.
But if you had to pick, like for instance, my best example of the question I'm trying to ask is,
Mhm.
I think my podcast is for people that want to take that next step but don't know how to, or people that want to take a step but are lost.
Mhm.
Where do you think, or who do you think your book can impact the most at this current time? Is it mainly for people that may want to start something, or people that may want to redefine themselves? Because I know you said you had to redefine yourself as well too. So, who
Mhm.
do you think your book can impact the most?
I think people that are stuck. Mhm. They're at that crossroad.
Hmm.
They probably someone who has a plan,
Hmm.
but they're stuck with it and
Hmm.
just not really sure what to do next.
Okay.
Um, Probably, someone who is struggling, with, like I said, with those next steps.
Hmm.
It's definitely an encouraging book. I try to make it very realistic.
Hmm.
We talk about new beginnings in the book. We talk about intentional living,
Hmm.
purpose, touch on purpose versus passion.
Hmm.
I like that chapter actually because um, so many people often, I've gotten off on a side note here. I'm not really
Hmm.
sure how I got there, but so many people are often chasing purpose. Like,
Hmm.
what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And God just allowed me to hear that your purpose, you take your purpose with you.
Hmm.
You know, this building doesn't give me purpose. My role as a school counselor, that doesn't give me purpose.
Hmm.
It's what's the abilities, my God-given abilities that are
Hmm.
already in me,
Hmm.
and that can move from place to place.
Exactly.
Because if I'm dependent just on that building, then if that building is no longer there, what happens to my purpose?
Hmm.
And purpose changes. It's what you need to be at that time
Mhm.
using those gifts and abilities that you have.
Mhm.
So, Trey, how did we get there? I don't know. What'd you ask
No,
me?
I was asking you about who do you think your, book would be tailored to at this current
That's
point in
right.
time?
That's right. So someone who is stuck,
Mhm.
someone who may be redefining themselves
Yes.
or thinking that I don't know who I am. I don't know what my purpose is.
Mhm.
There's just a little bit of information in all of those categories.
Mhm.
New beginnings. What does that look like? What does that feel like? I can relate to someone who's been in a good career, a good paying job, as we
Mhm.
would say, for, I don't know, 20 years. But something on the inside of them is telling them that there is more, you
Mhm.
know. So that's someone that it would be, written for.
For sure, and I feel like it's a lot of people like that in this world. I feel like a lot of people are stuck. And like you said, like fear is silent. I feel like sometimes we're stuck in silence as well too. I feel like sometimes it can be in a form of just waking up every day and just living I don't want to say very routine, but very robotic lifestyle as far as waking up the same thing every day.
Same
It's
thing.
nothing new. It's like you see things that you want to do and you think things that you want to do, but it's too far away from you to actually reach and grab it. So that's actually good that you say that because it's a lot of people like that. I was like that myself
Mhm,
at a point in
mhm.
time in my life, and I was always thinking like, okay, it's back to this again. I'm gonna wake up, do this, and I'm wake up, do this. And a lot of people don't allow themselves to experience different things because of fear.
Mhm.
Like I said, like you said, fear is very silent. I feel like it's I think in my last episode that I mentioned that it's like what people don't understand is I tell people the devil is always around.
Mhm.
And the devil is your best friend at your highest and your lowest because at your
Mhm.
highest he'll tell you, okay, you're doing good, stay right here.
Mhm.
And you by you standing right there thinking that it's the most comfortable moment of your life, that you're at your highest peak, you're
Mhm.
really not. You're really at that midline where you can really jump a whole nother foot
Right.
and be at a higher level.
Right. Right.
So a lot of people think that the devil's only around when it's bad. And I
Don't
tell them like he's right there. He's waiting for you. He's telling you all these good things and trying to
seeking,
mhm,
looking at all times.
at all times. And I tell people it's the imagery of, comfort,
Mhm.
that's where he reels you in at. And once you're comfortable, and a lot of people, I tell people this all the time, comfort is the new drug. A lot of people get comfortable and they lose that potential that they really could be at. So I'm definitely glad that you said it because there's a lot of people that's stuck.
And I like to say that being comfortable brings on complacency.
Mhm.
We become so complacent, like you said, that day in, that day out. But in order to change, it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. You got to start with your mind,
Yep.
and you have to say, I want to change. And not only that, but now let me write some steps.
Mhm.
Let me write what I'm gonna do in a week,
Mhm.
in 3 months,
Mhm.
6 months. You
Mhm.
gotta have a plan.
Mhm.
I tell my students all the time, and I feel like I heard it somewhere, I don't think I made it up, but, goals without a plan, it's just a hallucination.
Mhm.
If you're not what are you doing? "Oh, I plan, I plan, I plan."
Mhm.
You've gotta have a roadmap to success. You gotta start somewhere, and you
Mhm.
don't know if it's gonna work if you don't give it a try.
Exactly.
But you're right. I think one of the biggest things also, Trey, is that you mentioned something about, no one's like, gonna you
Yeah,
gotta
coming to
save
save me.
yeah, you
Mhm.
gotta save yourself. And, you have to be intentional and you have to do the work.
Mhm.
And sometimes people aren't willing to do that.
Mhm.
Or the fear even tells them that they can't do it.
Mhm.
Can do a l whatever that mind
Exactly.
whatever you put in that mind,
Mhm.
with the help of the Lord, whatever you put in your mind,
Mhm.
start somewhere. Write 1 sentence.
Mhm.
See how that goes,
That's progress.
right?
Mhm.
Write a paragraph. Say,
Mhm.
today I'm going to write a paragraph.
Mhm.
Tomorrow I'm going to write a chapter.
Yep.
But you have to start somewhere. That's who the book is for. It's just little nuggets that allow you to see that you can do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I also want to mention this as well too, just since we're on the subject. I always tell people this, and I think I posted it yesterday. I always tell people that in order to get to that next step,
Mhm,
that next blessing is literally your decision.
mhm,
I tell people all the time, you have to win your vision because it's your vision.
mhm,
Nobody else has the same eyes and vision that you do. People may be able to say, like, oh, yeah, I know you're going to get to this level, but they may not see it in the perspective that you see it in.
mhm.
So once it's yours, all you have to do is go out and win it.
Right,
And with that
right.
winning is literally you taking that first step, like you said, write a sentence, write a
Mhm.
paragraph.
Right,
That could be
right.
simply you going to the gym. That could be you simply reading more. It could be all
Mhm,
those little goals that you have in
mhm.
order to win that vision because it's only yours. And
Right,
once
right.
you, I tell people all the time, once you take things for granted, they
Mhm,
disappear.
mhm,
Just how we have memories that sometimes we it slip our mind, like we talked
mhm,
to before. Like
mhm.
I said that when I was at the event last Saturday, that was my first time speaking, but it
Right,
slipped my mind. That's how your blessings and your vision can slip your mind as
right,
well too, and that
right.
get passed off to somebody else.
Mhm,
So my question to you is, if people don't know how to start
mhm.
or where to start through your experiences, where would you tell them to start from?
I would say start from right where you are.
Mhm.
Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it. Don't try to put so much into it
Mhm.
or overthink it. Start from right where you are. Get a list, get a piece of paper,
Mhm.
write down, this is where I am. This is what's happening today. This is what I have.
Mhm.
This is what I can accomplish today in this moment.
Mhm.
How do I feel? Start from right where you are.
Mhm.
Sometimes we want to look at the bigger picture.
Mhm.
We want to go from 0 to a
To 100.
100. Mhm. Start from right where you are. Um, you said something about vision. I heard you use the word vision.
Mhm.
And my good friend, and I write about her in the book. Chapter 1 is about her, Michelle. She said you have to have tunnel vision for your vision.
Mhm.
You gotta stay
Stay the
for
course.
yeah, for your vision.
Mhm.
Because like you said, it's your vision. Other people aren't gonna, see it that way. And we ain't gonna
Mhm.
even try to have a topic about the naysayers because that'll be a whole nother a
Uh-huh.
whole nother segment. But you have to have tunnel vision for your vision.
Mhm.
Start in the moment. Don't complicate it. Stay, ground yourself.
Mhm.
Where am I? Even if you have to say today is,
Mhm.
today is,
Yep.
but start at that moment
Mhm.
and then work from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the questions I wanted to save, because we're almost at the end, I wanted to save this question just so we can really talk about it. When you were speaking earlier about redefining yourself, a lot of people get scared of that, and I consider that. I have two different definitions for it. A lot of people would say it's starting over.
Mhm.
Me personally, I don't like using the word starting over because I feel like it erased everything that's in the past.
Yep.
So the word I like to use is adjusting.
Mhm.
A lot of people have a hard time finding the fine line and adjusting to something that'll better themselves through your experiences, you redefine yourself, what were the challenges that you faced? Because I know it's a lot of people that's watching this now or will be watching this in the future. What was the challenges that you faced and how did you like overcome them by redefining? Because it can be hard. It can be like, when you start redefining yourself, you can be like, all right, I really don't have to do this. I can go back to how I was. It's okay. Nothing was truly wrong. But is this worth my time or is it not? So
Right.
what were the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge that comes with redefining yourself is that you're going to have a raw truth moment.
Mhm.
Like you said, you don't like to say, how did you just put it?
Basically, is this worth my time or not? Or is
Right,
this something that I have to truly do because I can just go back to doing it because nothing else is truly wrong?
right, right. When you redefine, you're gonna have like two moments going on.
Mhm.
You're gonna have a moment where you're saying, okay, I like all of these things about Teresa.
Mhm.
But then you're also gonna have a moment where you have to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself and say, I don't like this about Teresa.
Mhm.
This is not working for Teresa.
Mhm.
So with that redefining and looking at it from both angles, that's hard.
Mhm.
We can say, like you said, what's working. go back into that, same comfort level,
Mhm,
but it's pushing through the things that we maybe don't like. We know that we need to change.
mhm,
I know that I'm not putting into myself
mm,
what I need to. I know that I'm not, making some lifestyle changes that I really need to make, whether it be diet, exercise, spiritually, or
mhm,
whatever the case may be. So that redefining, is going to be twofold. It's gonna lift you, but then at the same time, it's gonna be some pruning, some changes that have to be made.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was my turning point, when I started this because I'm big on it now since it has opened up a lot of doors for me, especially in
Mhm.
this environment that I'm in now. Um, like I always tell people and they know for a fact, like I was depressed and I had a lot of emotional things that I
Mhm.
was dealing with for a long time, but my biggest thing was I wasn't ready to look in that mirror because I knew it was gonna hurt.
Mhm.
So I feel like a lot of people don't redefine themselves or adjust because they are afraid of the hurt that will come with it, but they don't know that that hurt can be temporary depending
Right?
on how you handle the situation.
Right.
So it took a situation for me to actually endure, and I was like, okay, enough is enough.
Mhm.
And I did the same thing that you said. I started with a page. Today
Mhm.
is, and I started journaling. And
Today he is.
as you and my biggest advice to people is when you're journaling, it's like breaking off all the tore up
Mhm.
old armor off your body and replacing it with new ones. It's like
Right, right.
a whole new layer of skin because
Mhm.
you're letting go of something that was,
Mhm.
tangled up on you and with you through all these years. And once you finally release it, it's like it's a
You
fresh.
do feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You do feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I tell students all the time, they come in I say breathe first. I learned that from my dad. Take 3 big breaths. Let's just start there because you just
Mm-hmm.
feel so much better.
Exactly.
You know, now let's talk about whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is you're dealing with. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna take some work.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is one of the biggest things, being willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my students all the time, two types of things that are going on here. Your willingness and your ability. You can be
Mm-hmm.
willing and not able, and you
Mm-hmm.
can be able and not willing.
Willing.
Right.
Mhm,
But you need both of them, in order for things to work. Yeah.
mhm, and that all ties into faith,
Mm-hmm.
literally,
It
and
just goes, see how it just goes right back
uh-huh,
around
yep,
to it?
that's why I said I wanted to save it for
Yeah.
that because it's literally, I think the biggest hero or the strongest ability or trait is faith,
Mm-hmm.
because I tell people all the time, and everybody says, "If you can believe it, you can achieve it." It's as
Mm-hmm.
simple as that, and
It's in
people
the
just
book.
like, a
Hmm.
lot of people don't have that ability or trait in them. Well,
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna say they don't have it, they just aren't aware of it. Because like you said before, it's in you, you just have to unlock it.
You just have to unlock it.
So, you know, like I said, we can go on and on about it.
We can.
It's it's
Yeah.
it's something that, I harp on a lot because
Mhm.
I feel as if every day, I get up here every week and then I post my clips, I'm connecting with somebody and just hearing them, be like, damn, you're right. I know
Mhm.
that that changed them. And they already had that in their heart. They already had it in their
Right.
mind. They just needed somebody to remind them or say it in a way that they understand it or a perspective that they understand it in. So we're heading towards the end of the episode. Usually, how I do the end of the episodes is basically I ask people, what are 3 truths
Mhm.
that they live by or that they wish other people knew in
Mhm.
today's society?
3 truths that I
Hmm.
live by. Ooh, boy, Trey.
Everybody say always catch them off guard.
That was the intent.
Hmm.
Um, I know definitely one is new mercies. New mercies.
What do you mean by that? That's
God,
it.
you just gave me new mercies. You gave me another chance that I didn't have on yesterday.
Hmm.
And that can look so different for me on today,
Hmm.
you know? So definitely new mercies. That's one. Um, I try as hard as I can to treat people the way I wanna be treated.
Hmm.
I really do. And when I find myself, so that I would say secondly, um, and humble. God keep me humble. I don't want my mind to get too big.
Mhm.
I don't wanna be too big that I can't see people,
Mhm.
their perspective, and that I can't be used by him.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I would say those 3 things.
And you said something that I spoke about today because I have a
Mhm,
on Instagram I have a group called the Lounge Family, and that's where I go in every morning and I give them a truth for the day,
mhm,
or just like a little motivation to keep going. And today, one of my truths was about being armed with good intentions because I'm reading a book called Armed with Good Intentions.
mhm, mhm,
Um, and I feel like you said, like you treat people how you want to be treated. But my truth today was basically saying that just because we're armed with good intentions, or we have good intentions to
mhm,
take care of people, love people, just like people as a whole,
mhm.
does not mean that's going to come back to us.
Right.
So I want to elaborate on that one too, just because a lot of people, even myself, I fell in love with just doing the greater good just because,
Mhm,
which is good,
mhm,
but I will get hurt and confused when negativity finds its way back to me from that particular person or situation. So I love that that's the truth, and I'm glad that we connected on that today because I want to be able to tell people that once you do that act of service and once you do that good deed, never worry about what bounces back.
mhm,
Because with me, I used to find myself in a hole like, dang, I'm doing this, but
mhm.
nobody would do it for me.
Right,
If you're
right.
gonna do it, just do it. And if you find the time where it bounces back with negativity consistently, set that boundary.
Mhm.
I didn't have any boundaries because I thought, okay, it's for the greater good. You just have to accept it, the pain and the hurt, but you don't.
Right, right.
So, like you mentioned, treat people how you want to be treated, but also at the same time, if they're not treating you how you want to be treated,
Mhm,
separate yourself.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I feel like that's another thing that people need to work on because they don't like the idea
mhm,
of separating from what's familiar. And that could be family, friends, but in life, those are losses that you're gonna have. So yeah, I just want to elaborate on that. That was a funny coincidence. That's really good.
mhm.
And she did bring her book in here for me.
I did, I did.
So I want to show you guys the
Mhm.
cover of it.
That's to you, Trey.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Show you guys the cover of it.
It's called When Fear Grips. 7.
Right here
Yeah.
grips. And like I mentioned before, I'm definitely gonna be reading it. I'm almost done with the current book that I'm reading now. This is a bookmark too?
That's actually a business one of my, business cards, but I
Okay.
put it there because
Mhm.
I want you to be able to read, what I wrote in the book. Um,
Okay.
it should be on the page where I signed it and wrote it.
Yep. Peace, not fear, rules your heart.
Yep.
That is true.
Peace, peace,
Peace.
not fear. Yeah, rules your heart.
That is true.
Yeah. So, yeah, this has been good.
Yeah. See, I
It's been
told you
good.
how long it felt like 30 minutes.
It
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
This has been good.
So I want you to if you have any social media platforms that you like to share,
Mhm.
if you have like links or wherever your book is published, that way people
Okay.
can buy it or
Mhm.
find it. You can go ahead and shout out any platforms that you have or where they can find your book.
Okay. So, When Fear Grips was self-published, I had, shout out to Brakita. She helped me through this process, through Lulu. So the book is on lulu.com.
Mhm.
The book is actually on Amazon as well, but when you link onto Amazon, I think what they're doing now, if you're not like a really large name at the time,
Mhm.
there'll be a third party that you can order from. And the book is at Books A Million. Yep. So all 3 platforms. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your
This has
time.
been great. Yep. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you for coming for the opportunity. I'm glad we got to connect at the event. And this is what I want to say at the end. You never know who you can meet
Yeah.
when you take a step out of your comfort zone. You never know the connections that you can make. You never know what blessings are for you until you step outside of your comfort zone. Everyone that knows me personally know I am an introvert, and I said it when I was speaking.
Mhm.
I usually shy away from big crowds and big opportunities.
Mhm.
However, if I woulda never went to this event last Saturday, I never woulda met this wonderful person. So I'm thankful for
Thank you.
her, and I'm thankful for everything that she talked about today. And yeah, it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward for the things to come. My word
Mhm,
this year that God gave me is expand.
mhm,
And so I'm so excited to see how he is expanding and enlarging my territory.
mhm.
Yep,
That's good.
appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Y'all know how I am with the outro. Gone.